Yo, what's going on, guys? It is Foxy98 here, and welcome back to a brand new video for you guys today here on the channel. Today we have got a brand new video for F1 2018. It is the Car Research and Development System, the Developer's Diary, Part 2 for you guys here on the channel. So without further ado, I'm going to let you guys watch this video, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to basically go through the video with you guys and explain all of the new key features.
2017 had a huge R&D system, and during the process of developing that we took on a lot of advice from the community who were playing the game for us early, and there were certain things that we thought would be really good to bring into 2018. So probably first and foremost, we wanted more players to experience more of the R&D system to actually be able to progress their development at a quicker rate. So we've made significant changes to the pricing structure. We've also changed the way that we present it to the player, so there's now a fog of war around it, so that you don't quite understand where your development's going, you don't know where the big wins are going to be. This year we've added ERS to the cars, and that's another area of the car that the player can also look to upgrade. And with multiple components building an ERS system in a Formula One car, again it adds even more variation to the things that the player must consider. To any Formula One fan, it's very clear which teams have got strengths and weaknesses in which areas, and that's something that we showcase quite heavily in the vehicle handling in the game, and we wanted to do something similar with the R&D tree this year. So each team now has a bespoke R&D tree which focuses on the areas that those teams may be lacking just a little bit. Something that we've brought in this year is it's something that's very inspired by what happens in the sport, and that's a rule change. Regularly in Formula One, so every sort of 4 or 5 years, there's a significant rule change, and the teams have to readdress how they build their cars and change things quite significantly. And that's something we wanted the player to experience, with obviously the key gameplay mechanic from that being, you start the next season, first race at Melbourne, you don't know where the other teams are going to be. And that's amazing to see that reset in the performance. And the way this will work in the game will be, partway through the season, there'll be a point where we will determine whether there's going to be a rule change. Your R&D guy will speak to you about it, and at this point you need to start determining which areas of the development you want to conserve.
Listen up, everyone. They've announced that technical regulations are changing for next season. There's a risk a lot of our hard work could be undone if we're not careful.
I may have spent a fortune on my wings, and I think next season I'm worried that that reset might impact on my wings. So rather than losing all of that hard work, I can start spending credits on protecting the work we've done. So it's essentially future-proofing upgrades that you've made for the following season. The AI have to work in exactly the same way. So each of the teams will be going through exactly the same thought process as the player. Do I spend money on upgrading the car as quickly as possible? Do I look at saving some credits just in case there's a rule reset and I want to conserve my R&D? And that's why every season we'll see a huge change in the orders. We were only testing this the other day to see a team that was at the top start the next season mid-table. And it's really cool to be able to see that. It makes every season unique, and it really does drive you to want to do season after season.
Alright, so as you can see then, we are here on the R&D tree, and we're going to be having a look at everything that was shown in that F1 2018 little teaser image that we got there, or teaser development diary. So, first of all then, we obviously knew that there is going to be an R&D development system, very similar to F1 2017, and as we can see here from the YouTube video itself, you can see straight away here that we've got Red Bull, Toro Rosso, Honda. And what's quite interesting is we can kind of see the vehicle performance comparison chart. So as you can see, there's been no upgrades at all on the Red Bull, Toro Rosso, Honda. Now, we can't necessarily take this specific R&D performance comparison chart into full consideration. We're not quite sure what actual, what type of season or how far into the season we are. If we have a look sort of down here, we're trying to have a little look. As you can see here, we've got Melbourne 2018, Career 2017, Practice 1, Practice and Qualifying time. So again, having a look at this recording, it seems to be Melbourne 2018, which kind of gives us the note here of the vehicle performance comparison chart and where all the teams are going to be situated in terms of performance for the F1 2018 season. So what they have decided and they have quoted is that Ferrari are the fastest team in F1 2018, ahead of Mercedes, Benz, then Red Bull, Renault, Haas, McLaren, Force India, Toro Rosso, Alfa Romeo Sauber, and Williams Racing. Overall, I think that's actually quite a fair performance comparison chart. Of course, it always changes, but for me, I do feel like Ferrari are the fastest team ahead of Mercedes and Red Bull. That order is, you know, give or take. You may say Mercedes are faster than Ferrari in some senses, but they're literally as seen on the performance, pretty much identical. Renault being the 4th best team on the grid, I kind of agree with that. Renault and Haas sort of there and thereabouts. McLaren sort of ahead of Force India. Probably I'd say that's about right, but I think Force India probably should deserve a bit more performance than that. Toro Rosso, yeah, I agree that they're there, but actually I do feel that in a performance update, which will probably come in F1 2018 later, I feel like Alfa Romeo will actually be in front of Toro Rosso and will be mixture with McLaren, and maybe McLaren will drop a bit below Force India and also Alfa Romeo. That's kind of what I personally think. Next up then, we've got obviously the performance, the R&D tree. You can see itself here. And as Lee Mather explained in the video itself, this time we're going to be getting a very faint R&D tree. And as he stated, it basically now shows us that we're not going to know where are the big gains. In F1 2017, not what we normally saw is we saw the same pattern. It was a case of, right, I'm going to go down this department over here. And for example, last season, this is the durability section here. So you'd normally increase these 3 elements of durability, and then you could go down and do a massive powertrain upgrade. It'd be the cheapest way to do it and the fastest way to do it, as you'd only have to wait a week, and they'd be 500 resource points or maybe a bit more each, down over to the powertrain upgrades here. However, this time around, they've completely changed that up, and you won't be able to know where the big gains are, so you might want to take one route and it may actually end up being the wrong route, or you take a different route and it might actually be the right route. So you don't even know, and that's what I kind of love about this. And overall, they've just done so much work to F1 2018, just in general, and I think that they deserve a hell of a lot of credit for doing so. So next up then, we're going to be having a look at the next element of this R&D tree, and that is going to be obviously the prices of them. In F1 2017, it was quite clear to us that the prices on this game were just too much. They weren't very good, and they just needed to be changed. It was almost as if you had to wait about 2 or 3 races to make one engine upgrade part here, when you could have potentially have made more in a different section. So as you can see up here, the price range is stating 247 resource points, which is actually quite a lot. Now, one thing that's also quite interesting is adapt part. That obviously is probably going to be something to do, as was explained, with the rule change system that's coming into F1, or maybe potentially something else along the way. But you can also see that the development time on that would be instant. So maybe we can make this a little bit better. So as soon as we actually make the spark plug upgrade, as we can see here in the engine power, perhaps we can then develop that upgrade, make it even better than it already was, and increase its performance and maybe give it some extra bonuses like so here. So this is quite interesting to see overall. And again, more information spoken to Lee, and once again he starts to talk about the R&D tree and where we can go with it. Looking at the R&D tree itself, it is very much the exact same as F1 2017 in terms of its entire structure. The yellow segment at the top of the screen is going to be where the durability lies. So that's where we're going to try and increase the reliability of the car and try and get less failures on the car. And of course, this season we're going to only be able to have 3 power units throughout the entire season, meaning it's going to be tight on engine performance. So we definitely want to make sure that our power unit is very much reliable. On the right hand side, we're going to be looking towards the chassis side of the car. So we want to make sure that we've got a good chassis going for the season. And then on the bottom, we have got the blue section, which is the aerodynamics, as again, you know, upgrading the wings and all of that good stuff. And once again, as you can see here, you're going to be seeing performance comparison charts for each and every specific car on the grid. So this one isn't necessarily 100% accurate, so don't take this performance comparison chart you see here into full effect. Obviously, this is due to a set of upgrades. As you can see, McLaren are in front of Aston Martin, and they've already made upgrades. So try not to take it into consideration. What we do know, I believe, if I'm correct, for F1 2018, is that Mercedes have got the best power unit on the grid, which I kind of disagree with overall. I don't quite think they do have the best power unit. I think Ferrari do. And then it's Ferrari have the second best power unit, ahead of Renault, and then ahead of Honda. I believe that's how it works in terms of the powertrain segment. And then once again, you can see that, as he stated, we've got no confirmation of where the upgrades are going to be. And like he said, also in F1 2018, we're also going to be able to upgrade the ERS deployment system. So that is another element of the R&D tree that we get to look at and have a lot more functions with it. And basically have more fun with it, as you saw there. A bit of deployment on it once again. And as you can see here, this is a nice look at Max Verstappen, of course. Don't take these graphics 100% fully into justice. These are obviously work in progress builds, and it clearly states out at the top. So this isn't going to be the final look at the graphics itself. But he also clearly stated that the mechanics of each team is going to match what they are in real life. So such as tracks like Monaco, we're going to see lots of dynamics, and that's what I really like. In F1 2017, of course, if Mercedes-Benz were the fastest car like we saw, it would be a case of, you know, Hamilton winning at Monaco. Let's face it, the Mercedes-Benz around Monaco is useless. I mean, it's not that, it's really poor. So it means that when we get to races like Monaco, we're going to see the Red Bulls be the fastest, and they'll have a higher chance of winning the Grand Prix. Come then towards the Canadian Grand Prix, we're going to see the likes of Mercedes and Ferrari come back at Red Bull and take victories there. So it's going to be very dynamic, and it's also going to really spice up the grid a little bit with some lovely shots there of Max Verstappen going through Monaco itself. Now, the biggest feature that we are seeing is going to be regulation changes. This is something that is going to make you want to play F1 2018 for the entire 10 seasons. And trust me, I think this is absolutely sensational. And I cannot wait to test out these rule changes. So this is the key point to have a look at here. First of all, we're not sure quite how far into the seasons this career mode is, but I mean, you have 95,882 resource points. That might just be for testing. But let's read the regulation changes, which is the warning sign up here. So regulation changes will come into force at the start of next season, making existing upgrades obsolete in their current state. Such upgrades can be adapted at 50% purchase cost, making them legal for next season's regulations. While all currently fitted upgrades will remain active on the car for the remainder of the season, any non-adapted upgrades will be lost beyond that point. This is absolutely huge. So as you can see here, we're having a look at the departments that are affected for this season will be durability. So obviously now, as you can see here, it is clearly stated that all of the durability sections are now in orange, meaning that next season, every single upgrade that you have done to durability and have worked for will no longer be valid for the rule change coming into the next season. This means now that obviously you've now got the dilemma on your hands. Do you go ahead and push forward and upgrade your car continuously for the rest of this season in order to gain maybe a world championship, maybe to secure 4th, 5th in the constructors, something like that, whatever your target may be? Do you go ahead and push for your targets for this season, or do you go ahead and stop development for this season, costing you performance to go ahead and get you better set up for next season? So it means that next season, you don't have to start where you started from the start of last season, if that kind of makes sense. So it's a very, very amazing feature, and I cannot wait to give it a go myself. And obviously this means that, as Lee Mather stated, we're going to be seeing massive changes to the team orders from season to season. F1 2017, it was quite clear to see that the development cycle was slow. You didn't really see that much maneuverability within the teams. This rule change system and this regulation change is going to really spice things up massively, and I can't wait for it. So again, having a look at this durability section, this means now that if you go ahead and do what it stated at the start of the season, if I can find where it said adapt part, I think it said it here, yeah, adapt part here, this now means that these sections here have now been made legal to go ahead. So as you can see, 270 resource points to adapt the part. That means obviously it's 50% less. So you can work out the maths. I can't because I'm stupid. I believe it's 540 if I work on the top of my head. But of course, he's doing some budget caps there. You can see that once you've now adapted that part, you've A, had to spend more resource points, but B, it makes your car safer and legal to use it for next season. So when you go ahead and you get a brand new set of resource points at the start of next season, it means that you don't have to waste those resource points going back and developing what you had, and that brings you on a backlog. You can go ahead and keep going from where you were. So it's an amazing rule change feature, and as Lee stated, you're not going to know where you are. Also, by the way, I need to pause it there. I'm liking the new little feature, tyre blankets on the cars now when they're on the grid. You can see here the ultra soft tyres on the car, but you can also see the very nice and very well made tyre blankets there. So they've obviously done a lot of work with the tyre blanket system, and just overall they just look very, very realistic, and I think that's what they want to be going with here. Also, for anyone that is new to the Formula 1 game and has never really experienced it before, you may notice here that the Ferrari has got the old wing plates here, so you can see them here. As you know, in F1 2018, as far as now, Ferrari have updated their wing mirrors so that it comes off of the halo, the tip of the point up here. Now, it has been stated, and it has been done in the past, that F1 2018, in terms of the game development, what they will go ahead and do is, as soon as the car is released for the Australian Grand Prix, the development team will start scanning all the models of the cars and going ahead and putting them into the game engine itself. And that's how they create the asset. They 3D model scan, make sure that they've got the correct asset, put on all of the rest of the textures and also the colouring, and then they'll go ahead and import that asset into the game engine. From there, they'll have to test to make sure every element of the asset is working properly, and obviously make sure that they do constant scans and so forth to make sure that it's all in good working order. Once they put the asset into the game engine itself, it takes a long time to do, and if they waited till the Spanish Grand Prix to go ahead and get the updated assets for the car, it will simply mean the game just can't get released because they can't make progress, because the only way to make sure this game is functional is by having the very first set of assets put onto the vehicle, and from there they can go ahead and obviously test out their game, which is what they need to do. So obviously, in future for F1 2018, we will expect to see an update whereby things that have changed on specific cars will actually come into full effect. The example of that is the halo-mounted mirrors on the Ferrari, the new look Mercedes chassis from Austria. Also, we'll see the new front wing spec design from McLaren as well. So just to put that out there as we push forward with the rest of this development diary. But there's not really much else to explain about the diary, just those massive features. And as you can see here, we've got a brand new career mode room now. So you can see that this doesn't look like the Chris that we know anymore, but you can sort of see just before the cutscene, if I just go back just a little bit there, we can sort of see I didn't want it to go there. I wanted to go there. So you can sort of see, I know it's a bit blurry, just trying to get it on snapshot. But you can see this is sort of the room now where we do all of the analysis. So instead of us just looking at a laptop, we now have our own proper engine, proper just motorhome to actually be in. You can see we've got practice 1, 2, 3, qualifying race, all the overview and the R&D stuff up here. And then you can see the cutscene, obviously, where our engineer comes in and he tells us that we've got some technical rule changes coming for next season, which may actually affect the car. And I just think this is such a great feature overall. But that's pretty much it for the development diary. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video. If you have, feel free to drop it a like, subscribe if you're new around here as well. And yeah, F1 2018 is just less than a month away now, and I cannot wait. Take care all, guys. Peace.